How's it going, Smashers? My name is Bonk, and in this video, we'll be continuing our tier list. This tier list is only one part of a number of changes being made to the Smash content on the website, and depending on when you're seeing this video, they could be up right now. So don't forget to check them out over at ProGuides.com. After the video, of course. In the last two videos, we took you through our picks for the A tier in Smash Ultimate. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the B tier. This tier list will not be ordered, so we'll just go through the characters in roster order. Of course, it goes without saying that everything we're about to share with you is subject to change, and we cannot predict how the meta will look in a year or even in a couple of months. As more information is discovered about certain characters, and as things are put into practice in tournament, these placements can and will shift, so keep the date in mind whenever you happen to be watching this. And, if you haven't, make sure you check out the previous videos. For the first character in B tier, we have Luigi. Luigi is a particularly straightforward, even linear character. He does one thing, and he does it well: combos. If you get grabbed by Luigi, you're dying. Forward air? Consider your stock gone. Down tilt? Just put down your controller. Not only does he possess this oppressive touch of death, but Luigi himself isn't particularly receptive to combos either. With a frame 1 invulnerable down special and a frame 3 neutral air capable of playing an Uno reverse card against any combo with a 2-frame gap and hit stun, engaging with this character is really just not fun. Fortunately, you don't have to engage, and that's why Luigi is B tier, despite his considerably overtuned strengths. With some of the poorest mobility in the game, both in the air and on the ground, Luigi often cannot respond to an opponent that decides to run away in circle camp. And beyond needing a heart of steel and a passionate desire to not lose to a guy with an L on their forehead, it takes minimal effort on behalf of the person camping. A couple of Luigi players worth knowing about are Elegant, Yamanaction, and SMB. This one may be somewhat controversial. The next character on our list is Sheik. Many Smash Ultimate players are quick to fall into the trap of thinking that a fast character with good frame data can't be mediocre, but this isn't necessarily the case. While her generous frame data on her normals may give her a strong neutral and advantage, and she doesn't necessarily struggle to kill to the extent that people would have you think, she has one flaw that pervades every aspect of her character. Her low damage per hit and honest hitboxes means she gets destroyed by trades. There's little to no disincentive for the opponent to not just actively challenge everything Sheik throws out, and whether it's in neutral or in disadvantage, the precision required to avoid trades consistently enough to compensate for this is most likely beyond the limits of human ability. That being said, she's not horrible, and she made B tier on our list for a reason. Sheik is a surprisingly common character, and some players you might see representing her include Void, I'm, Mr. R, and Sharp. Next we have Pichu. Pichu has all the makings of an exceptional, even top-tier character. He has a great neutral with what might be the best projectile in the game, an extremely explosive punish game with combos that can regularly deal up to 40 or 50%, and his edge guarding is great, owing largely in part to his phenomenal recovery. There are two things that severe to counteract these overwhelming strengths: self-damage and his weight. Shoot a couple of Thunder Jolts into a quick little down throw combo? You're taking 6%. Recovering? That's gonna be 2%. Ooh, confirming into Thunder? That's a whopping 4%. Combine this with the fact that Pichu is the single lightest character in the game, regularly dying below, like, 70%, and you have a character that quite literally gets killed for playing the game. All things considered, Pichu is surprisingly not that uncommon, and players like Neotono, Arfang, and Black Twins are all worth keeping an eye out for. Next up, we have Falco. Falco's strengths lie in his extensive combo game, making use of his various vertical knockback normals in conjunction with his multi-hit aerials to loop opponents with his drag down combos. His edge guarding is great as well, thanks to the large lingering hitboxes on his aerials, as well as what may be the best recovery out of the Spaceys. Many people are quick to write off his recovery as the worst, if only for the slightly shorter distance it travels, when it's realistically one of the harder ones to edgeguard. Falco Phantasm comes out as early as 10 frames faster than Fox Illusion, and with his double jump being the third highest in the game, Falco can be quite evasive while recovering. While he may be the least popular Spacey, that's not to say he's without any representation, and some amazing Falco players worth knowing about are Larry Lur, Juice, and Masa. The next character on our list is Meta Knight. Meta Knight is an incredibly misrepresented character, and while many players would claim that he has no strengths beyond his edge guarding, asserting that his combos are fake or that he has a linear neutral, that couldn't be further from the truth. His bridge combos quite literally do not care about SDI, and your only saving grace may be having an exceptionally fast escape option like a frame 1 invulnerable special, or being one of less than 15 characters with a frame 2 intangible air dodge. His ladders are more frame tight while being more vulnerable to SDI, but any Meta Knight with a particularly accomplished combo game, someone like me, for example, will almost certainly be able to follow it. Meta Knight's neutral is phenomenal as well, and his neutral air is quite literally full body Fox neutral air with knockback on a character with 6 jumps, granting him some of the most varied full hop landing mix in the game. The only condition for this is that he has to get above you, and this is where he begins to settle into the B tier. Meta Knight's air-to-air options are laughably bad. His forward air is large enough for the job, but too slow to use on reaction, forcing him to commit to it preemptively if he wants to use it. His neutral air is fast enough, but it's small enough that more often than not you'll end up trading, which isn't a great idea when you're the 12th lightest character in the game. This means that while he's great at jumping on people, he begins to struggle when the opponent is able to jump before he is. Meta Knight isn't particularly common, but some great Meta Knight players to look out for are Bonk, Ye, and Armando. Moving on, we have Ike. Ike is a character that was significantly more common during the time shortly after the game's release, but began to decline in popularity as people moved on to more interesting characters. Ike provides a very straightforward Smash Ultimate experience, playing the full hop mix game with his large neutral air and dealing respectable damage on hit once he gets in. His advantage is strong as well, owing to his safe, moderately sized aerials. The slow startup on his neutral air makes his neutral somewhat telegraphed, however, which forces him to carefully space his jumps so as not to get air-to-aired, and he's prone to being slowly choked out of center stage with no real options to regain stage control once he's in the corner. He's also kind of boring, but hey, at least his games were great. Like we said earlier, Ike is a character that has somewhat fallen off as the game has had time to mature, but players like Raven King, Ryuga, and Yez are all still doing relatively well both in and out of their respective regions. The next character on our list is Lucas. This character is exceptionally unpopular at a top level, and there are 2 potential reasons for this. The first being that his game, Mother 3, hasn't been officially localized to English, meaning only die-hard Mother fans would genuinely know who he is. The second reason is that he's just wholly worse than Ness. His hitboxes are less generous, his normals are less safe, it could be argued that his projectile is less valuable on hit, and his grab game is exceptionally poor. That's not to say that he's completely lacking in strengths, however, and he has solid zoning options in neutral with his PK Fire and Zair, and his aerial mobility combined with his decent, although not quite Ness-sized hitboxes, makes his ledge trapping and corner pressure respectable as well. He also has a far less exploitable recovery than Ness. His multi-hit PK Thunder projectile doesn't dissipate upon contact with the opponent, and his PK Thunder 2, also a multi-hit, doesn't lose any distance upon hitting the opponent, forcing you to challenge it directly rather than simply being able to intercept it with your hurtbox. He also possesses a tether, which can be exceptionally difficult to catch for many characters without preemptive positioning. Some Lucas players you might want to check out are Mekos, Choco Taco, and Remy. The next character we'll be looking at is Mega Man. Mega Man is a very unique character, and one of few who can be said to play almost exactly like they do in their home series. He shoots some lemons, has some Robot Master powers, and he's incredibly squishy. Not in the sense that he's lightweight or anything, but his heavyweight, high gravity, and humanoid frame make him a character that's particularly easy to blow up once you get in. Combine this with a linear recovery that has no hitbox, no exceptionally fast aerials except back air, and an average air dodge, and you have a character that really doesn't want to get hit. That being said, he's definitely a character you don't want to get hit by either, and Mega Man's advantage can be brutal. From his various projectiles to his unusually strong, disjointed frame 4 back air, all in addition to some of the highest air mobility in the game, this character is phenomenal at covering options with the advantage. Some Mega Men you should definitely check out are Kameme, Scat, and even Mars on occasion. For the next character on our list, we have Rosalina and Luma. Rosalina and Luma have remained largely unexplored for a majority of Ultimate's lifespan. This is most likely due to the fact that they were an unpopular character to begin with, only before receiving numerous nerfs coming into Smash Ultimate, targeting aspects of the character like the frame data and knockback on her aerials, and how Luma receives damage and knockback. She would eventually receive a number of buffs through balance patches, and this would inspire some of her old representatives to pick her back up. Rosalina excels at walling people out, carefully positioning Luma and using her disjointed hitboxes in such a way that she can control large parts of the stage, setting up what some players would describe as a mobile fortress. This does rely on Luma being alive, however, and Luma is incredibly fragile, dying to anything that has enough knockback to send him into tumble off stage. Without Luma, Rosalina becomes equivalent to a floaty featherweight sandbag, and even with Luma, she struggles from a highly exploitable recovery and poor landing options. As we said before, this character isn't all too common, but you may see her used by players like Dabuz, Kirihara, and Yuzu. Next up, we have Ryu from Streets. While he may not be as popular as Ken, Ryu definitely has some sauce, and there's even a case to be made for Ryu being the stronger of the two. He has better fireballs and larger, safer aerials, which give him a considerably stronger neutral. His combo game is nothing to scoff at as well, and while his advantage in shield pressure may not be as elaborate as Ken's, he's certainly able to get the job done. This character could genuinely be high tier if it weren't for his heavily telegraphed jump arc and his highly exploitable disadvantage and recovery. Ryu isn't nearly as popular as his shiny new Echo Fighter, but players like Sandstorm and Muneken are keeping the dream alive, one late fierce at a time. Ken, on the other hand, is a very popular character, most likely due to the fact that Ultimate marks his first playable appearance in Smash. Naturally, being Ryu's Echo Fighter, he's a very similar character with similar strengths and weaknesses. His neutral is somewhat worse, but his corner pressure is particularly explosive when compared to Ryu's. His heavy Shoryuken also acts as a strong killing anti-air, which is something that Ryu doesn't quite have. His shortcomings are essentially the same, largely boiling down to his telegraphed jump arc and exploitable disadvantage in recovery. Ken has plenty of representation at a high level, and gets great results from players like Takara, F-Sharp, and Vendetta, just to name a handful. For the next character on our list, we have Bilith. Bilith is a very interesting character, and she, we do not acknowledge male Bilith in this household, appears to have been made as a direct counter to the ultimate full hop meta. Her side special, Arid Bar, temporarily establishes a strict no full hop zone around herself, and the massive disjoint is capable of air-to-airing practically any jump-in attempts. Bilith can also play the Smash Ultimate game herself with a safe, long-reaching forward air, which works exceptionally well both when jumping in and when trying to push the advantage. Where she begins to fall short is in her grounded game and disadvantage. Bilith is very slow on the ground, which, when combined with her poor grounded frame data, makes it very difficult for her to deal with characters that can get past her large hitboxes and force their unreactable range onto her. Her poor frame data makes it so that she's very easily counter-hit for mashing at a frame disadvantage, and her poor mobility makes it difficult for her to recover stage control. Bilith isn't a particularly popular character, and her most impressive performances have been as a pocket for well-established top players, with individuals like MKLeo, Blade, and Tickle pulling the character out seemingly at random. Alright, Steve, I'm just gonna cut straight to the chase here. This character is Zoomer Pac-Man. His blocks are quite literally just portable fire hydrants, mining is just the neglected love child of Arsene and Bonus Fruit, and he even has a little dash of banjo in him, with his minecart being a Wonder Wing that isn't tied to a finite resource. And he has combos. Even with all of these strengths, Steve still comes with a number of shortcomings. His disadvantage isn't the greatest, he's easy to combo, and he has a pretty mediocre out of shield game. While many players were quick to place him in top tier, I'd like to urge you all to wait for some offline results. Naturally, there isn't much to discuss in terms of representation, as Steve was released during a time when large offline events were not taking place. The best Mii in Smash Ultimate is a hotly debated topic, and we're going to have to give it to Mii Gunner. Mii Gunner is an oppressive zoner character possessing a great neutral and advantage. They play like a typical zoner, controlling space with their gunner missile and grenade launch, and air-to-airing jump-in approaches with their cloud-like neutral air. Once they have you in the corner, it can be exceptionally difficult to escape due to the amount of options they're able to cover with their aforementioned zoning tools. Some shortcomings of the character include poor out of shield options, a highly exploitable recovery, struggling to escape from the corner, and just being an unpopular character. Literally, who wants to play a Mii? This game features so many gaming icons, and you look at this roster of 84 characters and think, yep, I'm gonna play the dudes from Wii Sports. What's wrong with you? Anyway, being a Mii, people don't really play Mii Gunner all that often, but a couple of players that might show up every now and again are Katakiri and Dion. Well, that's it for this video. Do you agree with our picks for B tier? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, Smashers. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell so you can be notified when we upload new videos. While you're here, consider giving the website a visit over at ProGuides.com as well, where you can have access to courses taught by pros, 24/7 live coaching, and loads of other content. That's all. See you guys in the next video.